Good morning. It is Thursday the 13th, and this is The Drill. And thank you very much. And this is your host, Ron, the only true conservative in the United States of America, because I'm the only one that makes the presumption for the status quo. So, the weather. Couldn't believe it. And I've heard this every time there is some kind of a major weather event, hurricane, tornadoes, whatever, I'm hearing it on Rush Limbaugh, I'm hearing it on Sean Hannity. Now, Rush Limbaugh goes ahead and touches on the hurricanes and at least ties it to global warming fiction and whatnot, so to polemics of some sort, whereas Sean Hannity does basically a full-out weather report. Okay, he had a guy on yesterday that was giving us the weather report, how strong the hurricane was, when it was going to land, where it was going to land, what the reports are, how much water was going to be dumped and rain and surges and all that stuff. It's like I was listening to the Weather Channel. I think he spent half an hour on this particular, a whole segment or two segments on the weather, on this hurricane, not as it relates to policy, the policy of the administration or the policy of governors or city councils or anything, not as it relates to politics, not as it relates to culture, but just simply the weather as like a warning. Hey, guess what, folks? There's a hurricane coming. You need to heed the warnings, get on to higher ground, get out of the way, blah, blah, blah. That's not why I'm tune in to Sean Hannity. If I want that, I'll tune into the NOAA radio, or I will tune into the Weather Channel or a news department or something to get information on what the weather or the storms are doing. So a waste of time. And again, this is where another place where the right fails. They waste time, spend way too much time wasting time on things that are not in their wheelhouse, that are not in their specialty, so to speak. Today I'm going to be reading from, we're going to discuss a little bit of Rush Limbaugh and his show from his app. From his app, a little transcript from his app, and then there's going to be I'm going to read from I think it's called Tales of the Dervishes. That's it. It's a story from Tales of the Dervishes that I think is absolutely spot on in terms of what is really happening in terms of the battle going on in the United States and how the left is approaching things. So, but anyway, so like I said, Rush Limbaugh, then Tales of the Dervishes, and so hang tight. We'll be back in a minute. And thank you very much. And so we are going to be going to. Let's see if we can do it this way. Let me see. No, I don't want that one. There it is. Rush Limbaugh. The left smears me again. I didn't tell anyone to ignore hurricane warnings. And this one's really good because somebody has gotten to him and told him some of the things that I've said. Not that I told them to or anything, but had the same idea and has told him, and he gives a little bit of an excuse in here why he does it anyhow. So this is interesting that way. Rush, there's something that always happens during these hurricanes, and that is that Media Matters for America takes something that I say way out of context, and they tweet it, and then the rest of the drive-by see it, and they run with it. So far, okay, he's mentioning the weather, but he's mentioning it in the context of him and his show and polemics, controversy and whatnot, because he is a polemicist engaged in controversies. The essence of Media Matters tweet is that I'm telling everybody to ignore Hurricane Florence, that it isn't going to be very bad, that all these details of the severity and potential damage are being made up just to further the climate change agenda. They tweeted that. Of course, the drive-bys, little Brian Stelter at CNN and people at MSNBC are following suit and reporting that it is what I said. Of course, I didn't say anything like that. So what I want to do to get started here, since the hurricane is still front and center news, and by the way, well, you just listen. We're going to play a couple of minutes of what I did say yesterday, and I want you to hear it. Now, the reason I'm doing this, by the way, I'm going to get, why do you even waste time reacting? It's not that I'm wasting time reacting to them. I'm trying to arm you with the truth for when you respond to some of this insanity, either on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm trying to arm you with what really happened. Let me go ahead and jump in right there. Again, somebody gets it. Somebody gets it because somebody is telling him, quit wasting time. Stop it. And instead he says, oh, no, I'm going to continue to waste time because I'm helping you. By wasting my time, by wasting your time, I'm assisting you. No, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That's just stupid. Okay, there's such things as making mistakes, making honest mistakes, and then stupidity is when you're making mistakes and doing so deliberately. That's exactly what he's doing here. Because if he wanted to help people with tweets, the simple thing that he does is he would tell people this is arbitrary. These complaints, these critiques are arbitrary. And if anybody comes to you with these tweets, tweeting this or Facebooking it or whatever, then you simply tell them that the complaint is arbitrary and that you're going to ignore it. That's the way you help people. You don't help people by lending your enemies credibility. Okay, lending worthless crap non-arguments credibility. You don't do that. You make yourself and you make your followers look stupid, look like a jackass, look like the exact opposite of what you're trying to prove. Because every time you try to prove a negative, you end up proving what it is your enemies are trying to pin you with. In this particular case, he looks like a global warming denier that's trying to cover his butt. He looks like a man with a guilty conscience. Okay, as anybody would. If somebody calls you a racist, okay, and they don't provide any proof, you ignore it. You just say, have a nice day and walk away. And why you would have somebody that's going to call you a racist or as a friend or a Facebook friend is beyond me anyways. If somebody comes out with something nasty, and there's a few that do, I unfollow, okay, or I snooze them. I hide the post at the very least. I don't even bother with it. That's what I do. I hide the post, and I recommend everybody else do the same thing. Okay, if you get something that's arbitrary, don't respond. And the other thing is, why do you want to friend people that are going to make arbitrary claims, negative arbitrary claims, about people you like and ostensibly admire, such as Rush Limbaugh? Somebody comes along and they're smearing Rush Limbaugh on Facebook. Again, I hide the post. I snooze them. In some cases, a lot of cases, the people that are my friends, what they do is they are forwarding, I guess is what it's called on Facebook, and where you take somebody else's post and you post it as you know, you have your name at the top, and then you share it. That's what it is. So say Bilbo Baggins shared a post from so and so, and then you get so and so's post. Well, all you have to do is you go into that in the upper right hand corner with those three dots. You push on that, and then it'll say hide post from whoever Bilbo Baggins was sharing. Okay, so I have to do, you can hide it, you can snooze it, or you can make sure that you never see another post, and that's what I do. Anybody does anything if people want to do something positive, if somebody wants to put a post on Facebook and it says, I love Hillary Clinton, and you notice nobody does that. Nobody on the left says, I love Hillary Clinton. I think she's fabulous. And this is why I think she's fabulous. Nobody does that. Okay, I could put up with that. I could live with that. I wouldn't hide that post. I wouldn't snooze it. I wouldn't do anything else because that's positive. The only thing they like to do is smear Trump. Okay, and smear the people that support Trump. Or smear the people that are conservative, even the false conservatives such as Rush Limbaugh. Okay, and that's what I don't want to see. I'm not interested in smear tactics and, the usual crap that the left is going to put out. I don't want to, I'm tired of it. Way tired of it. So I don't look at it. If I happen to see something, another one that was an interesting one was a guy that I've friended on Facebook, and for 9/11, he posted something about September 11th, 1801. And it was a picture, of a couple of men that had been lynched. Not only did I hide the post, but I went ahead and made sure, because this was something he shared from somebody else, that the person he was sharing, that I never see anything from that person again, and I snoozed him for 30 days. So I'm done with him for the next 30 days. If I ever see a post like that from this guy again, I'm going to unfollow him. And then, so that way, I'll never have to see anything again, because I'm not going to put up with that. If you want to come out with positive posts, if you love Barack Obama, that's fabulous. Good for you. There's a lady that I'm friends with, and she put up a picture. It was forwarded. Shared. She shared a post from somebody else that had a picture of the Obamas, and she's done this several times, in a very loving picture. They're holding hands, one in which Barack is kissing his wife's hand. Very sweet, very loving, no problem. I eat that up. That's fabulous. I have nothing bad to say about anybody that likes and wants to express positive emotions, positive thoughts about a candidate, political party, or whatever. You want to come out and say, I'm a proud liberal, I'm a proud socialist, I love Bernie Sanders, even though he doesn't know how to comb his hair, fine. I got no problem with that. But when you start with the smear tactics, I hate Trump, I hate this, I hate that. So, the guy that takes, there was a video of a guy in a restaurant that went up to a teenage boy who had a Make America Great Again hat on, snatched the hat off his head, splashed him with some kind of liquid, I think it was water, and then took the hat out of the restaurant and said, I'm going to burn this in my fireplace. The guy ended up, of course, getting arrested, and I think that he was successfully prosecuted, maybe pled guilty, and is going to get probation or something of that nature. But, again, negative crap. If you don't like MAGA, if you don't like Make America Great Again, then the simple best way to do it, wear a Hillary hat. Okay? Wear a blue hat that says, I'm with her. I got no problem with that. Fabulous. Good for you. Okay? Wear an Obama hat with that symbol, or that sort of painting kind of thing that was done by the guy that did Obey Giant. Sorry about that. So the guy that did the Obey Giant stuff, and he did a little deal of Obama. You want to wear one of those? Knock yourself out. That's great. Positive support. But it's so interesting that the left can't express any positive support for anybody. Except during elections, you see, I'm with her stickers, Bernie, feel the burn, and stuff like that. Well, that's okay. But now that Trump's won, they can't seem to go out and express any positive. You could have a T-shirt or a hat or whatever that says, even though Hillary lost, I still support her. I still think she was the better candidate. I still think she's the better woman for the job. Whatever you want to do, that's, again, more positive in nature and good for you. So, but the negative stuff, that's got to go. And again, quit. Getting back to Rush Limbaugh, what he was saying, he's got to quit it. Because again, I think that he's saying here about potential, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to find out. There's something that always happens during these hurricanes. That is, Media Matters for America takes something that I say way out of context, tweet it. The rest of the drive-by see it, and then they run with it. Let me see. I didn't say anything to see when I started since the hurricanes. Front and center news, by the way. But anyways, so he doesn't exactly say so. But again, I'm waiting, and maybe later on in the article it'll say, he'll say, I'm sick of this. Because he's got to be. He's wasting his own time. He's wasting energy. He does this over and over and over again. And that's the reason I think he's taking so many breaks. And then if he continues with this, I don't think he's going to last another year. I think within a year, he's going to start talking about retiring. He's going to be burned out. And it's too bad. It will be his own fault. He burns out. He's been warned. Obviously, other people are telling him the same thing I'm saying. Knock it off. Quit responding to crap. Quit wasting your time, your intelligence, and your talent on crap. Back to the article, or back to the transcript. I know many of you were listening yesterday and you heard it, but I want you to hear it again and keep in mind that that's what's being said. That's being tweeted by Media Matters on the left. I'm telling people that this hurricane is not nearly as big as they're saying, and I'm telling people to ignore the warnings because all of this is nothing other than the left trying to hype climate change. Now, you know how things happen in our culture today. People read these lies and they tweet them out and retweet them, and people end up believing it. And I just want you to be armed and be able to refute it. So here is the essence of what I said yesterday, which was, I must say, sensitive, in touch, brilliant, analytical, and correct. So here it is. This is how you are now armed to deal with this insanity that not just about me, but about pretty much anybody here who goes against the leftist conventional wisdom. And it says, begin archive clip. Rush, I'm not making a comment on this hurricane. Everybody understand that? I've got witnesses here. I got people who can back me up. Of all the hurricanes that we have lived through here, 2 of them were what we were expecting. The others never got as forceful, damaging, or as big as we were led to believe. Many of them did not hit where we were told they're going to hit. They hit, but not where we were first told. My experience with hurricanes is that they are, by the way, no matter. If it's a Category 1, it's still devastating. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me here, but my experience is the storms. Okay, I'm going to stop again. Notice that he said, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me here. And this is part of the problem when you respond to crap constantly, when you respond to arbitrary allegations with no foundation, with no evidence, with no proof, with no nothing, you start to equivocate when you speak. Don't misunderstand me. Please don't misunderstand me. He says that a lot. Oh, don't misunderstand. So he now has to explain his explanation, which wears him out even more. So something that should be a very short, concise, easy response, which is, this is arbitrary crap, ignore it, and move on to something else, now becomes very elaborate, time-consuming, energy-consuming, because he's got to explain, then he's got to tell people, don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand, almost apologizing for what it is that he's saying, wasting further time and further energy. I'm surprised he's lasted for 30 years. Well, I mean, actually, I'm not that surprised because in the beginning, pre-addiction, he had it right. He had it better because he didn't take things as seriously pre-addiction. He was having fun. He was making fun and lampooning the left. But post-addiction, well, during his addiction as well, but addiction and post-addiction, or I should say addiction and recovery, he's changed the format. He's not nearly as much fun and funny as he used to be, or his show used to be. So, let me see. Let's see. I think part of it is that just making sure people are ready. It's shouting fire in a crowded theater because even with all the news, there are people who still don't know what's coming their way because they just miss it, don't pay attention. But this one is, as it sits now and as it sat out there, if it is what they're reporting it to be, it's devastating. It's Category 3 or Category 4. The worst part of it is, look at Hurricane Hugo. Hurricane Hugo in a 24-hour period went from the South Carolina coast all the way up to Canada. This hurricane is not supposed to. In a 24-hour period, it isn't going to move 100 miles. It could dump 30 inches of rain on people if they're right about everything they're saying. All right, let me see. Well, I'm going to end the archive clip early. I think you get the point of that. And that is what I said. Now, during my discussion yesterday, I did mention the fact that over the years, many hurricanes have been hyped because everything in our culture has been politicized, as has weather forecasting. And part of the reason that it's been politicized is because Rush Limbaugh. As a matter of fact, the whole reason is because Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and other pundits, people that should know better, that are supposed to be smart, are giving ammunition to the left by responding to this. He is basically advocating that, again, you do the same thing he does, which is to respond to arbitrary claims. No, you must not respond to arbitrary claims. Okay. So, anyways, that's going to be about the end of that one. So, when I come back, it's going to be we're going to do the Tales of the Dervishes, and it's a pretty juicy little story. Thank you, and welcome back. And let's see what we got here. Nope, that's the wrong one. And there it is. Okay. So, Tales of the Dervishes. Dervishes are wise men or whatnot from Turkey. And so there's a whole book of their tales that are filled with little pieces of wisdom and whatnot in them. So, very, very deep. So this one is called When the Waters Were Changed. Once upon a time, Kadir, the teacher of Moses, called upon mankind with a warning. At a certain date, he said, all the water in the world, which had not been specially hoarded, would disappear. It would then be renewed with different water, which would drive men mad. Only one man listened to the meaning of this advice. He collected water and went to a secure place where he stored it. And he waited for the water to change its character. On the appointed date, the stream stopped running. The wells went dry, and the man who had listened, seeing this happening, went to his retreat and drank his preserved water. When he saw from his security the waterfalls again beginning to flow, this man descended among the other sons of men. He found that they were thinking and talking in an entirely different way from before, yet they had no memory of what had happened, nor of having been warned. When he tried to talk to them, he realized that they thought that he was mad, and they showed hostility or compassion, not understanding. At first, he drank none of the new water, but went back to his concealment to draw on his supplies every day. Finally, however, he took the decision to drink the new water, because he could not bear the loneliness of living, behaving, and thinking in a different way from everyone else. He drank the new water and became like the rest. Then he forgot all about his own special store of special water, and his fellows began to look on him as a madman who had miraculously been restored to sanity. When the waters were changed, legend repeatedly links Dunnun the Egyptian, who died in 860, a reputed author of this tale, with at least one form of Freemasonry. He is, in any case, the earliest figure in the history of the Mahmadi Dervish order, which has often been stated by Western students to have striking similarities with the craft of the Masons. Dunnun, it is said, rediscovered the meaning of the pharaonic hieroglyphics. This version is attributed to Syed Sabir Ali Shah, a saint of the Chishti order who died in 1818. There was a similar story in an excellent, rather excellent movie. I got to watch it again, but Serpico. And Serpico was the story, and I believe it was based on a true story, of a New York City detective. And he was in a precinct in which there was a tremendous amount of corruption. Police officers and detectives were on the take. They were getting paid off by criminals on a regular basis to, alter their arrests and not arrest people or arrest them on lesser charges than they should, whatever. So Serpico decides he's not going to go along with this. He's going to fight it. He's going to go ahead and report it, which he does, and at least according to the movie, he wins. He gets to go in front of a police commission and describe everything that went on, and some, if not all, of the miscreants involved in these briberies were taken to task and punished. In the meantime, however, Serpico is subjected to awful treatment by his fellow officers. They treat him like he is the bad guy. They even put him in a position where either he gets shot or almost gets shot. He was a drug bust, I believe it was, and his face got wedged in a door, and instead of his fellow officers rushing in there to rescue him, they let him sit there, and a guy pulls a gun, tries to shoot him in the face, but the gun misfires. And his fellow officers, basically it was an assassination attempt. The fellow officers were going to allow him to be killed. So he's going through all of this. He has a girlfriend. He's telling his girlfriend, I don't know if I can stand this anymore, that kind of thing. And she tells him a story, similar story to the one I just related, except she says it was a kingdom, and that there was an evil wizard that poisoned the one well in the kingdom, and that so that whoever drank from it became insane. And so, of course, all the regular, the little people, the serfs and whatnot, drank from the well, and they all became insane. The only one that didn't was the king, who knew. He knew that it had been poisoned. He knew that if he drank from it, he would be insane. And again, the people in his kingdom, he became the only one in the kingdom that was sane. But everybody in the kingdom thought he was nuts. And so then one night, he decided that he couldn't stand it anymore. The same idea that he's lonely. He's the odd man out. So he goes down in the middle of the night, goes to the well, drinks from the well, and the next day, the whole kingdom rejoices because the king had seen the light. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is the essence of the battle in the United States today. Look at a lot of the insanity on the left. And what makes it really makes my skin crawl, is that the left acts insane and comes up with insane ideas, insane activities, just general insanity, but pretends that it is normal. That anyone who opposes them are the ones that are insane, are the ones that are crazy. Trump is crazy, not Maxine Waters. So that's the whole idea, and the whole idea then becomes that if they can convince enough people that the right is nuts, the right is crazy, and this is not the first time sometimes they've explicitly come out and said that conservatism is a mental disorder and it should be treated by psychologists and psychiatrists. So, again, this is the level at which, the depth at which the battle is being fought. But most pundits don't recognize that. Sean Hannity is still lost in this idea that this is still all about politics. So is Rush Limbaugh. So is Mark Levin. So is any and all of these pundits recognize that. The only ones that have any clue, and they still have a little bit of work to do in terms of depth, would be Tammy Bruce, David Horowitz. They've got a much better idea of what's going on here and where the battle is truly being fought. So it's the psychologistic versus the intellect. So that's going to be it. That's going to, at this point, bring us to the conclusion of another episode of The Drill. And I thank you for listening to me. And let's see here, before I get myself set up here. There we are. So again, I thank you for listening, and until next time, have a great day.